want you to help me do something. Let's go back to what happened, I don't know, September 10th. Do you remember that time we were all comfortable in our homes? We were all satisfied in our businesses. I mean, things were pretty good, weren't they? But you know what? We forgot one thing, and that was our voice as Americans. And today I will tell you, your voice is being heard loud and clear all across this country, all the way to the halls of Washington, to the halls of Little Rock, and into your very hometown. Let me tell you how important your voice is. Number one, I want to tell you, we have no right to complain about what's happening in the White House, and no right to complain about what's happening in the State House until you, each and every one of us, fix what's going on in our courthouse, fix what's going on in our city halls, to fix local politics. That's where the bench strength is. We need to make sure that we're fighting this battle with a double-edged sword. The first side of the sword we need to wield up in Washington. We need to stop this freight train of destruction that's happening across this country. We need to stop this health care plan in its tracks now. We need to make sure, let me tell you something. I've been doing a lot of studying lately on this cap and spend, cap and trade, cap and tax, whatever you want to call it. And I remember hearing Blanche Lincoln. I was at one of her press conferences, and she said, you know what? Let me tell you something. We're a little bit disturbed about the insurance companies, and how dare they spend 50 cents on the dollar on health care, and 50 cents on the dollar, and put it in their pocket. Well, let me tell you what your government has done. Cap and trade, the premier energy bill in America, their cornerstone of green jobs. You know how much money is going to spend on that project? 12%. 12%. Your government thinks it's perfectly fine to take 88 cents on the dollar and put it in their pockets and put it in their coffers, and they think that, you know what, this premier health plan, this premier energy tax, we'll just put about 12%. Do you think that's wrong? I do too. We ought to stop that. Do not, you guys remember The Wizard of Oz? You remember the scene when they walk into the Great Hall, and there's the great and powerful Oz. And they were all scared, and they were all quaking, and pretty soon little Toto comes behind and pulls the curtain back, and you see this tiny little man working the levers and just going to town, and the great and powerful Oz says, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. That's exactly what we're experiencing in America today. Don't forget to pay attention to the man behind the curtain, because he is pulling those levers. He is throwing up that smoke screen to change America, and it must stop. Let me tell you something else. You know what? I love my country. I fought for my country. I spent 14 years in the military. Thank you. And I'm frightened. And I'll tell you why I'm frightened. Because while we're overseas fighting for freedom, freedom is dying in our own country. And you know what? We've got to get back to loving our country deeply and passionately. You know, I saw this illustration up here where I believe it was Bob that called all the older people to stand up and wave your hands. Do that again, please, for me, will you? Okay, now here's what I want you to do. I want you to understand that when you die, this country dies. Because what we have not done is pass along to the next generation those principles, those values, that American dream, that American purpose. And we've got to get it back, because if we don't, this next generation is going to be lost. I promise you, it's going to be lost. You know, we're talking about educating on Constitution Day and how important that is. You got to see the big picture. Like I said, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. Let me tell you what's happening in America today. And you guys are really smart, and I know that you guys have seen this, but let's not forget that while they are dumbing down our children in the school system, while they are ignoring the curriculum called American Constitution, while they're telling our children that the best solution is the government solution, while they're doing that, in the meantime, they're removing every vestige of God, every vestige of Christianity, everything about our religious heritage they're removing. Now, let me tell you what's going to happen. When that next generation grows up and starts being a little bit more aware of what's happening in their country, guess what? There will be no symbols to remind them there was a powerful God. There will be no signs to remind them that there was the Creator that gave us our God-given rights here in America. Not the Constitution. The Constitution reminds us that our rights came from our Creator. It reminds us of that. And the Constitution didn't give us our rights. Our God gave us our rights. And you know what? And what'll happen is, this next generation will grow up completely devoid of any sense of a higher power, any sense whatsoever, and our nation will fall, because it is those pillars, the pillars of the law, biblical law, the pillars of the law, man-made law, held together with the American spirit. And I'm telling you, that American spirit's alive here today, and that American spirit that will keep our country free. I thank you. I thank you for coming out here. And I want to close with this. I want to finish with this. On September 11th, our nation was attacked.
Yes.
And hopefully you felt like I did, that I was personally attacked. I mean, my wife was scared to death because she knows I love this country, and I'm ready to go run back to I'm a little bit old. I can't do that anymore. But I was ready to sign up. I was ready to defend my country once again. And I remember that what happened inside of me is that flame of freedom, that flame of liberty, that flame of Americanism just started getting brighter inside of me. And you know what? We carried that along for about 6 months to a year. And we let that flame kind of fizzle out a little bit. Here's what I'd like you to do. And this is what I'm telling you. I've started the Garland County Tea Party in Hot Springs, Arkansas. And this is what we're going to do. On September 8th, we're having another rally. And what we're going to do at that rally is we're going to tell everybody, we bought these little tiny votive 10-hour candles, and we put a little sticker on that says, "Freedom's light still shines bright." And I would ask you, you don't need that special candle, but here's what I would ask you to do. On your desks at work, at your homes, at your supper table, if you would light a candle, and you would burn it throughout that day. Don't be dangerous, please, don't do that. But if you would burn it throughout that day, and every time a child comes by, you want to say, you know what? Freedom's light is still burning. Don't listen to every one of us came out because we screamed at the television. Come on, if you screamed at the television, wave your hand, okay? Okay, now if you were the wife that hit your husband on the shoulder and said, "They can't hear you," wave your hand. Come on, I know you're out there, all right? Instead of doing that, instead of yelling at the TV, if we could have that candle lit, and we could pull our children at the supper table, because isn't that where we start talking about our day? Isn't that when we start talking about the good things in life, the prosperity that we still have in America? If you would say, you know what, sweetheart, let me tell you a story. You know what, on September 11th, they attacked our country. More importantly, they attacked our way of life. They did. They didn't know us. It was just a bunch of uneducated, ignorant people that did stupid thing that caused 3,000 Americans to lose their lives. But let me tell you what we need to do. You know what? We need to remind our kids, you know what? That light still burns in Daddy. That light still burns in Mommy, in Grandma, in Grandpa. And let me tell you what, son, daughter, when I pass this torch on to you, I want it to be a bonfire. I want it to be a blaze. I want it to be a light that shines so bright that an administration like this will never happen again.